Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show, where we help you make the wisest and most profitable decisions. My name is Dr. Gleb Tsipursky. I'm the CEO of Disaster Avoidance Experts, the future of work consultancy that sponsors the Wise Decision Maker Show. And I'm joined today by Shri. Shri, can you please introduce yourself and share a little bit about your background and what you do?
Dr. Gleb, very nice to be here. Thank you for having me. I am Shri Santhanam. I'm the EVP and GM of software platforms and AI at Experian. And Experian, as many of you may know, has among the most valuable consumer data sets in the planet. A lot of our audience might know Experian as the credit bureau, but deeply we're a data company evolving to become much more of a data-backed platform company. And my job is to use the power of AI to help amplify the impact our data has on businesses and consumers. So that's my role across the enterprise, and I focus on helping build products, productivity, our platforms, and adoption and education with AI.
Excellent. Now, of course, Experian was using machine learning before the rise of generative AI, was using machine learning AI, and then generative AI hit in November 2022, and that was big. So tell me a little bit about your AI journey and focusing on generative AI, which we'll prioritize in this interview.
Sure, as you said, we've obviously been doing AI for a while with our data lab, but also beyond just machine learning, we've had at Experian in our innovation labs, we've been working with transformers, experimenting with natural language for a while. So in November 22, when the ChatGPT meteor hit Earth, we were very well poised to actually lean forward and use generative AI to drive the impact that we saw that it would create with our business. And we organized ourselves along four key pillars. The first is products. And we said we have a number of existing products, and we see generative AI as bringing value and enhancing and innovating with those products, both with businesses and consumers. The second area we saw was productivity. We said we do a number of things internally which generative AI can help us get more effective and efficient about. And the third was we made a choice early and upfront and said, we suspect that a lot of companies will get stuck in POC land, and there'll be interesting POCs, but really nothing at production scale. So we invested early in what we said was a scale, platform, and governance, which I'm pretty happy we put in early, because otherwise we'd be stuck with POC land with a number of companies. And then our fourth pillar was around education, communication, and adoption. And we thought this was a really important pillar because one of our other principles here was to leverage both the center and the crowd. A strong belief in grassroots innovation. So for us, we believe that with generative AI, we have to innovate more at a fundamental level and have our 20,000 employees using it, and then harness it with things at the center beyond just having a few smart people in a conference room trying to figure it out. So those were the four pillars, and in each of the areas, it's been a couple of years now, and so we've made a very significant amount of progress in those areas. I'm pleased to report.
Now, it sounds like you're pretty deliberate in your generative AI strategy. So tell me a little bit more about how your leadership team figured out that that should be the approach. What was the thinking of how to integrate generative AI with your broader strategic planning? Tell me a little bit more about the top-level strategy conversations.
Sure. I think it feeds well from the framework I laid out, which is products, productivity, platform, and the education and adoption. So let me tell you what we've done in some of these areas, how it's fit with our strategy. And your question is, how have we been as leaders been intentional about connecting our strategy to doing a set of things. So first on the product side, we have a consumer business as well as a B2B business. Both are very significant. And the question we asked ourselves is strategically, what is the single most impactful thing we can do in each of those businesses with generative AI? On the consumer side, we concluded that we have a relationship with 100 million plus consumers, and they call us for a number of things. They call us to understand how they can better manage their financial lives. Very often you'll get the question on why did my credit score drop, and how do I get access to more credit? And they call into our call centers, they go to our website. We also had some simple decision tree driven chatbots. And our vision in that area was, imagine a future where you have almost this personal agent who has the sophistication of the best financial or the best credit advisor at Experian, and they could help educate you. So we said we want to chart a course to creating that, and we launched an internal first a pilot, but now it's having a conversation with 60 million consumers. We've launched an assistant which we affectionately internally call Eva, the Experian virtual assistant on the consumer side. And Eva knows your some key financial information about you when you sign in, and it can answer questions about how you can get better access to credit, how you know your scores, and it's going very well so far. We're also finding that Eva almost helps us understand and serve consumers better and drives that mission. So that was the big headliner on the consumer side. On the B2B side, the big thing which we saw was the big opportunity, which we saw was with our data. As valuable as it is, we have a need for expertise to actually use that data. So we have experts in the industry, but also a number of experts at Experian who can answer questions about attributes or products or data. And the way they were answering those questions were through emails or through phone or otherwise. And so our vision there was, can we actually create this 24/7 expert, a data advisor, a data tutor, and a code advisor, which can interact with our B2B clients and is available for them 24/7, right? Like, for instance, Shanji, who is our chief data scientist and the head of the Experian Innovation Lab, is very much in demand by our clients because he can answer all sorts of those questions that no one else can. But we said, what if we had Shanji available 24/7 to all of our clients? And so that's what we created with the Experian Assistant. It took about 6 months, but that's a huge success story. We've also won multiple innovation awards for what we've done there. And that's using an agentic framework. We've created a data tutor and a code advisor on some of our most important data sets. So that's what we did on product. So in productivity, we did some of the things you would expect leading scale organizations to do. We've used it in engineering and coding productivity, and we've rolled that out to our engineers across. We're using it in customer service. We're using it in everyday productivity with tools like ChatGPT Enterprise. So there's a number of things that we've done there which have been successful. And in fact, things like the Experian Assistant product ideas were born out of the work in productivity. And on platform, what we've done is we've built an in-house platform for us to host these services and set up a risk council. Both those things are really important because every use case, everything we build goes through a very rigorous approach of evaluating risk, managing the principles around it. And we take that we take our reputation and brand around data privacy and compliance very, very seriously. So we've created that governance framework. And we also have invested in technology, which helps us provide the right framework around that with the policies and rules, etc., which allow us to go and drive that. So both those things we've put in place, which make a a very big difference in allowing us to move out of POC land to much more of a scale exercise. And then finally on education, we have periodic hackathons where we have innovators building with Gen AI and driving a number of those pieces. And then we have training and education. But the pace here is moving. Given the pace at which the space is moving, what we've created is a set of forums which create the gravity pull. So we have a weekly seminar, we have hackathons, and we have sharing exercise. In fact, we've built agents to support training, so you can almost have a personal AI agent drive some of your sort of training, which allows you to then create and interact and drive this sort of forward. So that's broadly what we've done and how it ties to our strategy.
Now, in all of those areas, so you're really deliberate about this. I'm sure you have some good metrics for each of those areas. Can you tell me more about how you're measuring the ROI of your investment into generative AI in each of those areas?
Sure. In products, we're looking at it as typically how, on the consumer side, how consumer companies would look at it, which is the number of conversations, the monthly active users, and our metrics are quite good. We're getting good engagement there, and it's growing, and satisfactions like NPS scores are rising. On the B2B side, again, it's still early days, so we're looking at it as both engagement but also productivity. And for our clients, we're seeing the Experian assistant is saving 50 to 75% sometimes on some key tasks and key areas. So we're looking at those metrics. I think for our internal piece, we have similar productivity metrics on how the percentage of time and the hours and things that would save. And then for our platform and education, some of our KPIs are around the number of tokens, the scale at which it's growing, or usage. So that's how we're measuring it, and we're looking at it on an ongoing basis.
Now, you mentioned adoption as one of the areas that you've worked on. And of course, employees have a lot of concerns around generative AI. They have a lot of concerns about job displacement. They have a lot of concerns about their skills, which previously were highly valued, not being as valued anymore. Tell me a little bit more about what kind of employee anxieties you observed and what did you do to address them?
Yes, I think right from the get-go, our messaging to our employees has been more about use of this as amplification rather than replacement, because our belief certainly is that two things are going to happen. One, it's going to augment how our employees can operate. So we want our employees to be using this. Second, we believe there'll always be a place for employees. Now, the job they're doing might be different and might evolve over time. So our message has been one of helping upskill, empower, and help people use it. And that's landed well so far. So I think people understand that, and they've been embracing that.
And as we finish up, is there anything else that you haven't shared that you think would be helpful for folks to know about what's going on with AI at Experian? And also, as you're looking forward in the next 2 to 3 years with the rise of agentic AI, what kind of changes do you anticipate happening?
I think we're I think at a profound moment in history where we're probably seeing once in a multi-generation technology playing out as we speak. I think it's hard to realize the magnitude of those things when you're in the midst of it. But I think the pace at which it's moving, we're almost taking it for granted. We're seeing in 3 weeks announcements from some of the leading companies about things we're doing. And if we just put these things in perspective, the pace at which we are seeing so many significant advancements, we are taking it for granted. And even 20 years ago, if we looked at the pace at which the internet or the mobile phone or things came out, it was much, much, much slower. We are light years ahead. So it will be interesting to see how we progress. And I think we're never going back, right? I think we're in a world where we are getting used to that sort of pace of change. To me, what the future holds for us is a world of trusted agents. And
Hmm.
I think we're now in a world where uh, in the previous 2 decades, we had
Mhm.
this race to see how fast technology could move and development could move. And I
Mhm.
think now it's moving at such a pace that we're going to go the other way. And we're actually
Hmm.
going to say, oh, it's going like really fast. So
Mhm.
what we need to do is ensure the trust keeps up with it.
Mhm.
Um, so I think we'll see much more investment in understanding around trust so that it can
Mhm.
keep pace with the technology and the things that we can actually do for us to be able to be much more intentional and deliberate about the outcomes.
Okay. Thank you very much for sharing your expertise, Shri. This was very, very helpful.
Fantastic and pleasure being here, Dr. Gleb.
And thank you to the audience for checking out another episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show. Please make sure to subscribe wherever you checked out the show and leave a review. It helps other people discover the show and helps us improve the show. And if you have any questions, as always, email me at gleb, Gleb, at disasteravoidanceexperts.com.
Fantastic. Take care.